Yo, what's up everybody? What's up my brother? What's up my sister? Welcome to the photography workshop. This is the photography mastery workshop. Today I'm going to show you how to create high-end portrait photography that attracts high-paying clients without you spending a dime on new equipment. Are you ready to get started? Great. Okay, now just before we dig deep into this particular webinar, I want to let you know that this is not some fluff webinar that has a sales pitch at the end of it. It is a real workshop that is going to help you take creative, great photos. And if you have a bunch of tabs open in your browser, I would like you to close them right now because I'll be revealing to you something today that is top secret. I don't know if I'll be doing this again. So make sure you have a pen and paper with you and take some notes because it is going to be very helpful for you. My main goal for this workshop is to give you value first, then deliver more value than what other people charge you for. Then at the end of this all, if you like what you see and want to learn more, I do have a special offer for you. I want to thank you for being here. I know you took time off your busy schedule to be here, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make every minute you spend here worthwhile. In this workshop, I'm going to be sharing with you strategies on how you can take your photography skills and business to a completely new level. The reason as why this is different is because I'm not just actually a teacher, but I am a practitioner and I'm implementing what I'll be teaching you today. I know there are lots of people out there that teach these things, but they know them in theory, but they are not actual practitioners. And what I'm about to reveal to you today is not theory. I'm showing you actually what I do in my photography business as a direct result of traveling the world, shooting and having worked with top brands in my photography business. Now I'm guessing for a lot of you, this is probably not your first photography workshop, right? The first thing I want to mention is if you failed to create awesome images, all those images you want in the past, I want to tell you it's not your fault. Of late, there is a big problem of information overload and it is super confusing. Many times, information overload keeps you from your success as a photographer. I'm here to tell you it's okay. And if you've been concerned in the past that you cannot succeed in photography or you can't do great photography, I want to put your fears to rest. You can do this. You just need the right person to guide you. Some big photographers out there want you to think that you need a lot of expensive equipment or some sort of fancy college degree to be a successful photographer. I'm here to tell you they are wrong. They have their own reasons of wanting you to think that, but that's not true. And if you've ever thought that some big photographers in your town or in your country want you to fail, you're probably right. They don't benefit from you succeeding. They want you to remain struggling so that you don't tap into their clientele because your success takes food out of their mouth. The difference with me is that I actually care about you. I care about your success. I truly want to see you live the life of your dreams because I was once in your position. So that's what we are here for. I know you have a dream to change the world and make an impact. And I want to show you how to make that happen during this workshop. So the big question is, who is this workshop for? Now, if you're among these photographers, this workshop is for you. If you're a photographer who wants to make high quality creative photos and get paid more for your work, this one is for you. If you're a beginner photographer that wants to venture into the photography arena, this is the right place to be in. And if you are an event or a wedding photographer that wants to give a glamorous feel to your images, this is the workshop for you. And also, if you are a photographer who struggles with the technical aspects of photography, ranging from lighting, camera settings, photo editing, high-end retouching, this is the workshop for you. My goal for this workshop is to show you that the only way to book high-paying customers is through creative, high-end glam photography. And the only way to achieve that is through harnessing the power of the lenspreneur. Let me explain. If there is nothing that differentiates you from your competition, then the quality of your work will always be measured against price. This is because your photography is positioned as a commodity. You see, creative high-end glam photography will decommoditize your craft and set you apart from your competition and make you the go-to photographer for every customer that desires exclusivity. Lenspreneur is the best way to take high-quality photos that will set you apart from your competition. Why should you even listen to me? One, I am a professional photographer with an experience of over 15 years. I have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars doing portrait, wedding, and commercial photography. I am also the founder of Isirafu Network, a photography and video production company. I have won several photography awards and have helped thousands of photographers online and offline start and scale their photography businesses. Let me tell you a little bit about where I was. Things may seem smooth and easy for me right now, but they weren't always that way. You see, when I started this photo studio in the ghettos of Kampala, I wanted to have a business making just enough for me to earn a decent living so I could live a life of my dreams. But the studio barely made $100 a month. We did not have enough bookings. The clients we mostly attracted were the price-sensitive clients, the ones who never cared about the value of what I was doing, but only cared about how they could squeeze every penny they had given you out of you. I remember I had this sample album that had a collection of photos I had taken as an assistant at big photographers' weddings. I would carry this album and take it to some place in Kampala where wedding meetings were mostly held. 99% of all the meetings that I went to showcase my wedding album, they promised to call, but to date, I'm still waiting for their calls. These people rejected me. The few people that came in, they were the price sensitive. And if I'm to tell you, many of them never even picked their wedding photos. To date, they have never even bothered calling me. And that is how bad it was. Poor results ruined my self-confidence. You see, I was always used to setting goals and achieving them, but now my photography business didn't bring the dream, the work, the freedom that I wanted. I felt terrible. I was a broke photographer. Around mid-2010, I was first thrown out of my ghetto apartment, so I started sleeping in the studio. 3 weeks later, I was also thrown out of the studio. The property manager confiscated all the photography equipment that included even customer photos that hadn't yet been delivered. You see, there is an African saying that goes, when a bad omen wakes up to you, even an animal as peaceful as a goat will bite you. Now, this was one of those bad omen days. Everything for me seemed to be falling apart. Have you ever had such days? On this day at 5 a.m., I was woken up by loud yells and bangs on the studio metallic door. Sleeping me rolled out of the heavy, dusty and smelly studio backdrop I was covering myself with. I was all pale with dry, cracked lips. I looked like I had just been sun-dried. I looked terrible. And it was at this moment I knew it was all over. The property manager was all yelling and very, very furious. He wanted me out of the studio premises or out. I was scared, nervous and worried, and my heart was pumping at a fast pace like it was sponsored. I could feel my blood race through my veins. My armpits were all sweating and I was shaking. I didn't know what to do. I don't know what exactly happens to my digestive system when I'm scared, but I felt like going to the bathroom at that moment. I was thrown out of the studio premises after. But as I was walking, the property manager got the studio metallic door welded. He even changed the padlock and he told me never to come back unless I had brought all his money. Chances of me ever finding that money, truth be told, were Wiz Khalifa skinny. I walked out of the premises feeling like a loser. I was physically and mentally torn apart. The only thing I had on me was my toothbrush that I had in my pocket and the clothes on my body. I had no shelter, no food, and no penny to my name. My world turned dark. I almost gave up on photography. A few months after I had lost it all, I was sitting in this minibus going back to my brother's house where I had gone to seek refuge. This minibus had a cream leather roof, and for some reason it had some written inscriptions just below the first aid box. Some were notices to customers asking them to pay in time, but for some reason below these notices there were some motivational quotes from great Ugandan authors. Others were African proverbs, but there was this particular one. I don't remember the actual words, but it kinda went like this. Ask yourself, how will my life be in the next 5 years if I'm doing what I'm doing right now? For some reason, that question stuck with me, and it's at this moment I decided to do something about my life other than whining. It's at this moment I decided to man up. I did an honest self-assessment on myself, and later it dawned on me that my photos, my pictures weren't good enough. Leave the fact that I was inexperienced in business, but they weren't bad. Yes, they were technically competent, but they lacked the wow factor that would make someone want a piece of them. They could get such photos from anywhere else. No wonder I struggled. I embarked on a journey of finding a differentiating factor that would position me well on the market. I had a fashion designer friend of mine called Susan, so one day I paid Susan a visit. She owned a fashion house and I landed on a fashion photography magazine. Now, this fashion magazine changed the way I looked at photography forever. There was something about the images in this magazine that was jaw-dropping. The images were not usual. They were effortlessly stunning, yet so different to leave you wanting more. I remember looking through this same magazine every time I visited Susan's fashion house. I decided to dedicate the following weeks to researching glam photography. I sacrificed 3 hours every day researching high-end glam photography. I bought fashion magazines, I watched videos, I watched movies, just looking out for scenes that were polarizing. I even watched music videos just to see how they lit the scenes. You see, I wanted to create my own style that would differentiate me from the rest of the photographers. I tried these concepts and ideas on photo shoots with a few tweaks to add my personality and developed them slowly by slowly. Around mid-2012, we booked our first wedding and we applied these new land techniques. My God, I saw a floodgate of prospects storming my Facebook inbox. I reopened the studio and in the next year, we booked over 92 weddings. Yes, a 9 and a 2. I even hired photographers that I once admired to shoot for me. The bookings came in so many, I was charging too little for the exclusivity. I was super naive about the business side of things. So I was overwhelmed. I was taking in any customers for as long as I was getting a little profit. The huge sums of money overwhelmed me. The load of work overwhelmed me. This led to delays in delivery, poor customer service, and of course, they gave me a bad mouth out there. Because of this bad reputation and bad customer reviews and bad customer experiences, the clients reduced and again I closed down. The customers that paid the least amount of money had the most expensive abuses. This crushed me emotionally. I lost weight. I woke up every morning feeling tired and not excited to go to work. The money was coming in, but I wasn't happy with the kind of customers I was getting. I closed and I dedicated my time and energy to to understanding business. When I came back, I decided I was going to triple my prices and change my marketing message in order to repel customers I didn't want and only attract the creme de la creme. But this time I wanted to do creative and commercial photography. Today, I use this strategy to generate 6 figures of income every year in just portrait and commercial photography alone, serving my dream customers as well as enjoying and living the life of my dreams, doing what I love. How amazing is that? I didn't have to buy new cameras and lights or the next best lens that I was being advertised that year. I just had to make a few tweaks in my photography from traditional to high-end glam photography. You may be wondering, what is glam photography? This photography usually incorporates current trends when it comes to poses, settings, and special effects. It also has a touch of high-end fashion. It goes beyond formal and traditional shots. You as a photographer, you take it a notch higher by spicing the moments with your artistic ability and aesthetic. You are probably thinking, but Oscar, that's great, but that has nothing to do with me. Well, let me say this to you. Traditional photography is about capturing the moment as it goes. You are hired to do a shoot. It may be a wedding, it may be a portrait shoot, it may be a commercial, and wait for moments to happen. And if you're lucky, you get that extraordinary shot. Basically, you're hired because you have a camera. The only problem with this, it's hard to get artistic and flattering shots because you have no control, unless you are a fashion photographer. But if you're not, 99% of the time, these people we shoot are ordinary people, not models. So they are not trained to stand, stare, or gaze in a particular way. So traditional photographers will document the moment as it is, while high-end glam photographers spice up the moment by adding a bit of soul. You see, high-end glam photography makes moments more memorable because you are leading the person down the path of feeling, being, and looking their very best in the moment. It is the creative direction that makes this special, and it is these same kinds of images that help you create that great portfolio that is going to attract more of the same kind of great customers. See how that works? People love looking beautiful. They say beauty is the biggest seducer of man. That's why high-end glam photographs have been proven to outperform traditional photographs. If there is nothing that differentiates you from your competition, then the quality of your work will always be measured against price. This is because your photography is positioned as a commodity. Now, high-end glam photography will decommoditize your craft and set you apart from your competition and make you the go-to photographer for every customer that desires exclusivity. Not only has this worked for me, but here is a story of Deville, who attended the same workshop you're attending right now. I just want you to see the transformation he had in just 6 months. When Deville reached out to me, he was struggling to make ends meet. He worked at a photo framing workshop doing casual labor. This is something he hated. Deville wanted to live a life of his dreams while doing what he loved, which was wedding photography. Deville took a leap of faith and joined us. We took him through the process of high-end glam photography using the photography mastery. A few months later, Deville was hired by a big studio called Multiways. He implemented what he had learned in the photography mastery. His ability to create high-end glam imagery helped the company triple their bookings in just 8 months. A year later, Deville decided to start his own photography business, which took off in just 2 months. Today, Deville makes over 6 figures a year. He travels the world doing destination wedding photography. He lives a life of his dreams, doing what he loves, all because the photography mastery made it possible. At the moment, you may be saying, but Oscar, it maybe works for only wedding photographers. It does not only work for wedding photographers. Here is Walter. Walter was one of my very first students. He was doing photography, of course, normal photography. But when he started going high-end glam direction and adding a spice of creative direction, he started attracting more customers. Today, his photography business books hundreds of shoots per year because of this. He even created a movement of people he calls the Afri-tailors. He has won several photography awards. He has got endorsements, deals from tech giants like Techno, all because he started doing high-end glam techniques. He achieved all this in a period of less than 7 months. Isn't this amazing? How many of you want to learn exactly how he did this? Say I. Awesome. Let me show you how. Ready? Great. Let's get into this already. All right, I think this is the time for you to get your notebooks already, because I'm going to dive into the top secrets. Now, here's what we're going to cover in the next few minutes or so. I'm going to share with you the 3 secrets. Secret 1, you're going to learn how to hack the high-end glam look in all your photographs and get noticed for your work. Then in secret 2, I'm going to share with you my top 13 creative hacks for creating high-end glam photos with the equipment you currently have. Then secret 3, I'm going to share with you how to get those high-paying clients coming to you instead of your competition. Who is excited? As I am, say I. Okay, let's dive into this now. Secret 1, how to hack the high-end glam look in all your photographs and get noticed for your work. Now, let me tell you a quick story. Back in the late 2007, one of my aunties recommended me to be a second photographer at a traditional African wedding. For those of you who don't know, in Africa, particularly Uganda, there are 2 weddings. We have the traditional African wedding and the white wedding. Of course, white wedding started after colonization. So I was recommended by my aunt to be the second photographer at this traditional wedding. I was just a few months old in the photography game. I had just learned even how to shoot in manual mode. All I had was a camera and a kit lens, that is the 18 to 55. I was very excited because this was even my first big event. I wanted to create something amazing. I wanted to create images for this traditional wedding so that I'm also hired for the white wedding. I had a Canon 350D. Of course, it was back then it was a fairly good camera, unlike the cameras that you people hold today. It was fairly good, but those were the early days of digital photography. But the challenge I had was it had only 1 battery and a 2 GB CF card. The main photographers at the event had all geared up. They were dressed up in these photography jackets, swapping lenses. It felt like I was the small villain trying to beat Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. You remember that scene of Arnold Schwarzenegger where he was all geared up? Truth be told, I was intimidated due to lack of my experience and of course my size. So I shot the event, but I was praying my battery takes me through the event, which was next to impossible. You see, in Uganda, when the bride is being married off, the brother to the bride is given a roster by the groom. This is a super important image that can't miss in an album. So as they were about to get to that moment, my battery died out. I panicked. My armpits began sweating again. For a moment, I froze. I didn't know what to do. I got the battery out of the camera. Desperate me began licking the terminals of the battery. I put it back inside the camera, but nothing seemed to work. So I walked off the wedding venue and looked for a power socket so I could charge. All the moments that happened within the next 30 minutes of me charging the battery were missed. I was worried. I had no idea what I was going to tell the bride. I was hungry, but I even failed to eat. I had missed a crucial moment of the brother-in-law being given that rooster. After the few minutes of charge, a thought came to my mind. I went to the back of the house and looked for the brother-in-law. I asked him if he could do some photos of him holding the rooster. He said yes. Because I had worked in studio, I posed him holding the rooster, and those were the images I used. But I still missed many moments that had happened 30 minutes of me charging. Since I had missed many moments, the only way I could save myself was to do something different, at least in post-production. Back at studio, there was a talented retoucher called Henry. I went and perused through Henry's work, and there was something different about how he retouched and edited his images. He retouched weddings like he was retouching high fashion editorial style photos. They looked very, very different, and he was the guy, and this was the guy. I remember going through his entire catalog. He also had a folder of super creative images from other photographers that were fascinating. It was like his inspirational mood board. This was way before Pinterest. So I went and modeled the style of Henry, and I went and retouched all the bridal portraits and groom's portraits using glamour retouching techniques. Added sepia tones to some of the moments, black and white. I added text to some of the images so that I could compensate for the moments I had missed out. All I wanted to do was to do something different. I delivered the albums to the client's office. She did not look at the albums there and then, but I was scared of what she would say if she found out I had not captured some moments. A few hours later, my Nokia 3310 phone rang. And guess who was calling? The bride. My heart almost ran out of my ribcage. I didn't know what she was going to tell me. So I pressed the yes button. I picked up. Hello, Oscar. Oh my God. These are the most amazing photos I have ever seen my entire life, she said in a super warm tone. My dad, my husband, and my entire family want you to do the wedding, she continued. At this moment, I was tongue-tied. I did not know what to say. Fiona went ahead to tell me how the photos were unique and different from what she had seen so far. And she went ahead and ordered for more prints and more frames. Now, it is the difference in the outlook and image appearance that saved me from the burden of explaining the uncaptured moment. Mind you, I did not have to buy any new gear, but I just had to change the feel and outlook of the photos in order to impress Fiona. This is the moment I realized it was all about creatively differentiating yourself from the rest. After this realization, I started searching on the internet, magazines, I watched music videos, movies, looking for fascinating things. I started doing a collection of fascinating imagery ranging from fashion portraits, landscapes, basically every photo that I found fascinating. It was at this moment I decided I was going to be different from other photographers. So I decided I was going to position myself as the only photographer that did what I did. Because I had mastered this technique, one time I get this amazing idea. So I pitched this idea to one of the best makeup artists in Uganda. She accepted my craziness and we did these high-end glam photos that would later turn my whole portrait photography business. Technically speaking, the photos I even shot on a semi-professional camera, but a little creative and art direction made them stand out from what the market offered at the time. They even had chromatic aberration. Chromatic aberration, those are the purple-green lines that appear on the edges of an image, especially if you shoot with a cheap lens. With all these photographically technical flaws, these photos got people begging me to take their money. This is the shoot that attracted the next hundreds of photo shoot bookings I got that year. Your next customer is out there looking for that one photographer that will give them something high-end, glam, exclusive, contemporary, and different from the usual. Is that you? You see, they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. The big question is, how do you hack the high-end glam look in your photography? I'm guessing that is what you're asking, right? Now, number one, find high-quality photographs to pick inspiration from. Okay? 2, model the style and feel and add a spice of your personality. Like Picasso said, good artists copy, great artists steal. What he meant is get inspiration, add your personality to it, and own it. Mind you, modeling is not copying. Modeling is picking inspiration and adding your personality. You tweak the concept so that you own it. And the amazing thing about this is that it didn't work for only me. It has worked for all kinds of photographers. Look at Musa Mayanja here. He always thought that doing standard photos was the way to go. In fact, before he came into one of my workshops, he was only shooting passport size photos and doing what every other photo studio in town was doing. But after he tried the high-end glam route, he tripled his income and he makes 6 figures a year in portrait photography. Mind you, he did not have to buy new equipment, but he just applied the high-end glam framework. You see, how you tell the story with the camera you have is way more important than the kind of camera you're using. Now I've showed you how to hack the creative high-end glam feel into your photographs and get noticed for your work. Isn't that awesome? This brings us to secret number 2, which is top 13 creative hacks for creating high-end glam photos with the current equipment that you have. 1. Camera settings, which include ISO, aperture, shutter speed, white balance, picture style or picture control. One of the great photographers, Joe Eldelman, says it best: get the technical stuff out of the way, then focus on emotions of your subjects. Master your camera and equipment. Learn camera settings, ISO, shutter speed, aperture, white balance, picture style, and you will never struggle with getting the right look for your photos. 2. Photography is drawing using light. Photography is about observing light and how light affects subjects. Lighting is another tool worth mastering. There is light you can control and lighting that will require you to adjust your subjects accordingly. But all in all, this is to determine the mood, or call it the brightness, darkness, and shape of the subjects you are shooting. 3. Makeup and styling. They say beauty is the biggest seducer of man. Styling and makeup well done enhances the outlook of your photos. The makeup reduces the time you will spend editing, while styling will give images character. Encourage and advise your clients to invest into good clothes, good makeup. I usually tell my customers to dress up for status, not for comfort. Sometimes I even tell them to imagine if Queen Elizabeth dressed up for comfort instead of status, how would she be perceived in the eyes of the public? So it's about dressing for status, not comfort. Backgrounds are part of the photo. I used to think that the subject was the only important thing in an image, until one day I did a portrait of a person with electric poles behind him. It looked like the pole was growing through his head, and the photo kinda looked cheap. This is the time I started paying attention to backgrounds as well. With a clean background, the image will stand out and have more impact. While on a cluttered background, the main subject may lose the visual impact it is meant to portray. So, place your subject on backgrounds that complement the story. But again, let your story drive the kind of background you choose. This brings us to the next point: high-end retouching. Nothing kills a great photo than bad editing and retouching. I've seen photographers who do great work that dies in post-production and retouching process due to lack of the right techniques and tools. Retouching is meant to enhance and add value to your artwork. Mastering high-end retouching will transform your photos from average to stunningly gorgeous, no matter the camera you're using. Next, find a signature style. One of the biggest mistakes I did as a photographer was trying to be like every other photographer. In the process, I lost myself as an artist. Nothing distinguished me from other photographers' works. I was fighting for the same kind of customers with other photographers, which meant me charging cheap in order to win them over. I struggled at this, but I decided to find my style. I started attracting more loyal customers that even paid more for my service. Don't be like every photographer. Find a differentiating factor, or call it a unique selling proposition. This brings us to the next point, which is mood boarding. There will always be times you will run out of great ideas or even can't find the right words to explain an idea to the customer. The solution to that is collecting ideas related to what you are going to shoot and share the visual presentations to that person you are going to shoot so that they can understand the creative direction. This process is called mood boarding. This brings us to the next hack, which is posing and proportionality. Unless you are in the fashion world, but if you shoot ordinary people, 99.9% of the time you will be faced with people who are not conversant with posing naturally for photos. If you are a photojournalist, this may not apply to you because no one really cares about the quality of news. But if you're doing images that are meant to flatter people, posing and understanding proportions is key to having great images. For example, the way you position the head of a person with a cat face is completely different from the way you position the head of a person with a dog face. Different angles and positions affect these faces differently. So proportionality and posing is key. This brings us to my next hack. Ensure your subject is well lit. I don't know how many times I should emphasize this, but ensure that you light your subject the best way that there is. Whether you are shooting with natural light or artificial lighting with modifiers, ensuring you light up your subject the best way will skyrocket the quality of your photos by 80%. Again, let your story dictate your lighting style. Next hack, use flattering focal lengths. You see, different lenses affect the human face differently. Using a wide angle to shoot a portrait tends to create a distortion in the subject's face and also shows a lot of stuff in the background, but a telephoto lens will compress the subject and make it appear bigger. There are different ways you can use these different lenses to get more flattering scenes. So choose the right lens that tells your story. Again, let your story determine the kind of lens you use. This brings us to the next hack. Go thematic for a unique feel. You see, oftentimes many photographers shoot what's in front of them and in a way it presents itself. The challenge with this is that you cannot control the creative direction and art direction of the final images. But when you guide the customer on the creative direction, you are assured of great and unique images. This is a way of bringing character into your images. Next hack. Treat your subjects like they are your friends. I know how we love our camera settings, our strobes, our technical stuff, because that's what photographers are. Because of this passion as photographers, we tend to put 80% of our efforts in mastering and learning those technical stuff, and we spit technical bubble while shooting people. I hate to say this, but your customers don't care about this. They just want great photos and want to feel understood. Photography is 80% people's skills and only 20% mechanics and technical stuff. Improve your people skills. With good people skills, you are destined to images that speak. That's how you evoke emotion in photography. Composition mastery. Composition is the way you place your subject in your frame. There are different ways in which you can compose your photos for great visual appeal. There are also rules you can go by. Once you understand the rules of composition, it becomes even easier to creatively break those rules for a more dynamic outcome in your photos. Master the rules of composition, you will be amazed by the kind of images you produce. So now, there you have it. Those are the creative hacks that will give your images a high-end glam feel, and I'm sure once you put them to use, your photos are going to be leveled up. Meanwhile, these have not only worked for me, they have worked for several of my other mentees. Davil was brand new to photography. He had never even done any serious photography before. I started working with Davil to help him improve his work and craft. He decided to use his newfound knowledge and skill on shoots at which he was the second photographer. He joined the photography mastery and applied the creative hacks. Today, Davil travels the world doing shoots and living his best life, doing what he loves. This could be you. Isn't that amazing? Tell me, if you would love to enjoy such massive success, say I. Now, so far we have covered 2 secrets. In secret 1, I showed you how to hack the high-end glam field in all your photographs and get noticed for your work. Then in secret 2, we have looked at the top creative hacks for creating high-end glam photos with the current equipment that you have. Isn't that amazing? Come on, tell me, isn't that amazing? By now, you're probably thinking, how do I now use that knowledge you've shared and get paid for my work, right? This brings us to secret number 3, how to get high-paying clients coming to you instead of your competition. Well, venturing into high-end glam photography business sometimes feels like a pain in the butt. I have been there and I perfectly understand your pain and struggle. Now, tell me if you can relate to this statement. Tell me, okay? Most of the time it feels like there are no high-paying customers in your part of town. The few clients that come through your door are always negotiating your prices down. Several even compare your prices to what other competitors charge. You have most probably lost clients to your competition due to price. Some of these customers do not even value what you do, but they care about how they can squeeze out every single penny they have paid you. On top of that, such customers are very, very hard to impress. Such customers burn you out and leave you emotionally drained, and you lose all the creative juice. Do you understand that feeling? Can you relate to that? Let me tell you a short story. So one day, this lady comes into my office. She had her traditional wedding coming in 3 months. She asked me how much I charged, so I shared my wedding photography packages with her and I showed her exactly what I delivered. So as soon as I showed her the prices, she said my prices were too high and she claimed that her fiancé wanted to use another company that was better, but since their friend had mentioned me, they wanted to try me anyway. So she told me I had to be nice and give her a good price so that I can also cover the white wedding as well. So what I did, I cut the prices down and we settled for a price. To be honest, deep down in my gut, it didn't feel right. I wasn't comfortable with that I had charged, but my brain gave me all the logical reasons to take on this client. I had to pay rent in a few days and I took on the job anyway. The fact that she had told me I would even cover the white wedding if I impressed them, so I took it on. So when this lady left, she never contacted me again for weeks. 1.5 months to the wedding, I decided to give this lady a call. She told me she was very aware and told me she would be sending a down payment the next day. So the next day, she sent in the 10% of the total amount she was supposed to pay. And she told me she was going to add more money in the next week. So the next week became another month. I tried reaching out to this lady all in vain. She wasn't taking my calls. So I gave up on her completely. On the day we were supposed to do the event, I got a call from Rahma, the makeup artist I had recommended to that lady. "Oscar, where are you?" Rahma said. "I am home." I responded. "Aren't you supposed to be here at the event?" Rahma asked. I told her, I thought the event had been cancelled. I called the lady, but she wasn't taking my calls, so I gave up on her. That's what I told her. "But there isn't any cameraman here," Rahma retorted. "You know, in Uganda traditional wedding, the bride's family makes arrangements to welcome the groom's family. So the groom's entourage comes after everything is set up. So I presumed the groom's team would come with a photographer. So I didn't even bother asking Rahma any further questions. After all, I had decided I wasn't going to the event. So I got off the phone and I went on with my business. The few weekends that I'm not busy, I am usually with my 2 little girls, hanging out. As I was chilling, I see this unknown number calling. I ignore the call. I go back to playing with the girls. Whoever was calling insisted, so I decided to pick up the call and listen to what they were saying. It was Rahma again calling on a different number. And she said, "Can you imagine this woman paid for a 20-minute helicopter ride around the village but refused to invest money into her photography and video for the event?" Rahma explained. So I asked her, "Are you telling me there is no photographer on set?" Rahma told me there is no photographer. The groom arrived in a chopper and the bride got in it and they are flying all around the village. That is what Rahma told me. I was shocked, at the same time laughing. I could not understand why someone would invest money in a wedding and not have it captured on video or at least in photos. I was really puzzled. She attached so little value in photography and much more value on something like a helicopter ride. To date, I have never made sense. What I had asked for was not even a quarter of what the 20-minute helicopter ride costs. It didn't make sense, but I expected the bride to reach out to me because of the low price I had offered her. But she did not, even after paying a 10% down payment. Then I found out that her friends had convinced her that she was better off reaching out to a journalist to do a news coverage of her wedding. After all, she would have hit two birds with one stone. The Chopper story would have been covered and she would have photos for her wedding. This taught me three things. One, some people will never value your work, even if it's the best that there is, which is the hard truth. Trust me, you don't want to attract such customers. You want customers who are starving for your work. Two, building an irresistible brand that people want to associate with. Distributing your work and becoming omnipresent should be part of your marketing strategy. This is important because it helps to appeal to the ego factor. Some people hire you because of clout. Okay. Three, for as long as your work is standard photography, you will always be competing with free and cheap. So, when everyone in the market is doing what you're doing, that makes you a commodity. Do I make sense? And tell me, have you been in such a situation or something similar to that? But what if I told you there is a way to reverse all that? Attract high-paying clients, not just high-paying clients, but the kind of clients you enjoy working with, the ones that would beg you to take their money. What if your clients came back more and more and more for your work? Now, allow me introduce you to the concept I call the Soul Creative Project, SCP. Now, the Soul Creative Projects is the only way that can help you attract the right high-paying customers and escape the rat race. At this moment, you may be wondering, what is the Soul Creative Projects? Well, these are projects you do as a photographer with the aim of attracting the kind of customers for your business. And I have done this several times in projects. In my portrait and commercial photography business, I've also done this when I was a wedding photographer. There was this time I wanted to attract high-paying maternity shoot mothers. I did these aquatic themed pieces. I showed it to every pregnant woman that called me for a shoot. Of course, some refused, but the few that accepted helped me create this portfolio. Today, if a pregnant woman wants to be part of these aquatic series, they pay a minimum of $800 for this one image. I have done several of these and still counting for mothers to be. And when I wanted to attract those high-paying clients in my portrait projects, I did these creative portraits. And when I was into wedding photography, I did these fun wedding photos to attract young, fun couples. And through these concept projects, I have attracted my dream customers who I enjoy serving. And I have also fallen more in love with doing photography because I'm shooting the people I have always wanted to shoot. Just imagine attracting the kind of customers that love your styles. I mean, the ones who would pay you anything to have photos of them done by you. Well, it is possible. But before I tell you how you can do this, let me first show you how most photographers do it. And I am also guilty of this. When a photographer gets a client, they will do photos of them. And these photos are the ones they add to their portfolio. And it goes on and on and on and on. The problem with this system is that you don't have control over the creative direction and control of who exactly your clients are going to be. And it is more likely clients will dictate your style. The outlook of your images is dependent on the customer desires and what they think is right. This makes you a mere camera operator, not an artist. Personally, I believe photographers are artists, not camera owners. If you are running this model, you will always be competing with cheap, and 99% of photographers and other camera owners run with this model. So what should you do to stand out from the crowd? One, decide who your dream customers are. Produce soul creative projects that align with your ideal customer. Distribute these images in the places they hang out. Put these projects on your social media accounts, your websites, your blogs. The most powerful method I have used is suggesting these soul creative projects as the best option for the client. And of course, I've attached a high price tag on them so that they appear more valuable in the customer's mind, because people purchase to increase their status. The high price appeals to the ego factor and builds more desire for the soul creative projects in the customer's mind. Isn't this great? So there you have it. You know how to get high-paying customers coming to you instead of your competition. Isn't this so simple yet so amazing? Now let's recap. In Secret 1, I showed you how to hack the high-end glam look in your photos and get noticed for your work. In Secret 2, I shared my top creative hacks in creating high-end glam photos with the current equipment you have. Then in Secret 3, I have shared with you how to get high-paying clients coming in instead of your competition. So whatever your goal is with photography, this strategy will get you there. So let me ask you one question. One, if you followed what I showed you in Secret 1, how to hack the high-end glam look in your photographs and get noticed for your work, then you applied the creative tips and techniques I shared with you in Secret 2, then you used the soul creative project strategy to finding your dream customer and shooting those concepts and of course distributing them to where they are. Do you think you would be successful? Now, let me ask you, how many of you are already excited about what we have shared so far? How many of you are feeling a little overwhelmed because we've covered a bit too much? How many of you feel like this? I know it's a bit overwhelming, but the truth is, I can't show you everything you need in order to pull this off in just a 60-minute presentation. But I tried my level best to cover as much as possible.